So to begin with, we after the initial thoughts in the mirror board and all the setup, we started out with sketching. So this time around, it was a little bit different. Normally, I would start out with a ton of sketches by hand, but actually this time we sat down and did some level design straight out of the gate. So it was like Blender and Photoshop was used this time to try to set up something from the beginning.
Yeah, we tried to look at a lot of the levels we liked in some first-person shooters. And then like the left one was kind of inspired by some of the Valorant levels.
Mm-hmm.
And then the right one was like supposed to be a duck, and then the bottom one was supposed to be like right in the middle of a Favela that was crossed over by a highway. Then we tried to block each of these out in 3D to try and find out like different angles to make the shots from, or would they actually work, and could this actually be seen as a FPS level?
Yeah, so sometimes we'll go like maybe for 10 different layouts just to figure out what's going on. But with this, each time we made a layout, we could actually evolve on the ideas. So this was the first layout here. And it has a little bit of a Middle Eastern inspired archways, which was like not super nice for the favela design. But I think you can see we looked at some CS with the open doors here.
Yeah.
So this is like an alleyway. So we each time try to like evolve on the previous design. So what was not nice or what was nice about this, we could evolve into the next design and into the next design. So I think we really tried to carry on story and take each element that was good into the next design. So like, should there be some long areas? What about some cover areas? So every time we try to think about cover, range, height differences, like with stairs, multiple ways of entering and exiting. So every time level here, you see there's let me just grab a pen for that. So every time a level has multiple exits, entrances, this could potentially have multiple levels, like a sniping area, jumping up on a box, maybe climbing a ladder of some sort, or maybe climbing up here or traversing over here. So every time we think about like building a visually interesting image, but at the same time incorporating a lot of the game design elements. So here again, exiting, entering multiple places.
So think about the level design while we're doing the shot. So even though this is a concept design and the final level will have to be tweaked and playtested to infinity, then we just want to have these considerations from the beginning, because we know it's going to be a first-person shooter, so we know that we need to take these things.
Exactly. Like this even from concept phase, you can inspire as much as you can for the final layout, because it's not up to the game designer or the level designer to come up with everything. You can just as well, when you do this kind of concept, take all this into consideration. So we'll delve in more into the final image when we get there, but for now we're just like, some of these thoughts were already in here, and then of course elaborated quite a lot.
And of course, if we were to make this for a client, they would probably have like a blocked out level that they would have tested a lot. Just having this simple gray blocks to create a level, and then try to shoot, and then figure out the different vantage points and different angles, and have playtested that a lot before they even start.
Yeah, like this would actually be a typical like block out measure you get from a game developer. Like, make this interesting. So it's not, as a concept, it's not all entirely up to you to like invent everything by yourself, because normally you would get out a blocked out mesh from the creator. So from the mirror board, they would have thought through all of this before you probably get engaged and get something.
Really depends on the stage at which we engage with the client as well.
It totally depends on the stage of where you get engaged, because if you get engaged super early, then maybe none of this exists and you have to be in on inventing everything. If you get in later in the stage, or in an already established IP, you would probably get block measures to start with.
Yeah, exactly. If they need to make a new level for already established game, then they would just have all the characters and everything, and they could just build the level out of existing props already, and then say, hey, here's what we have, make this look interesting, and make this a unique level that stands out from the others. But it needs to have these shapes, and we need to make every model in these shapes, because this is very important. All the vantage points and all the covers are so important because it's FPS.
So like a lot of thoughts and considerations were put into that. We took some images of Google Maps, I think it is one, or maybe it was a blog with some Russian factory. Just more thoughts, more consideration, a ton of like ideas started to evolve from there. So again, as I said earlier, like everything is an evolution on the previous step. So what didn't work here would then work here, would then work here. So we really try to like delve into what could we showcase in one image. So for example, the Evil Corp was a little bit more difficult to showcase here. If this was a harbor, it would be very difficult to showcase here. So we as we established in the mirror board, we want to say something about a favela versus the Evil Corp. Could we say that on a harbor scene? Probably, but you won't see it. So would you see it in a dense street? Probably not. So it was really trying to find a balance of showcasing as much as possible to put as much story into one image.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, like at this shot, we actually had just the big sign that would be the one that alluded to the big evil corporation.
Mm-hmm.
But then after some iterations and working around in 3D as well, we placed some giant buildings behind.
Yeah, let me just get that up.
Some giant buildings behind, so you'd actually see that from the concept art piece. So you can see these houses stacked on top of each other, favela style, and then you would also be able to see like the looming giant buildings in the background. That would be the clean industrial tech corporation buildings, to kind of create that contrast within the piece itself.
Yeah. So what we did was, it was like an organic. It always is an organic process between this, like. We started to come up with more story in the mirror board. We really like try to flesh out what the story was about. Then blocking out level like this, it makes it so easy to just pop in the building in the background or move this building if it's too much in the way. Or I think we got the idea in this one as well. Like try to make the highway. Even in this one, there was no like wall as in the final image. I think it was just a sketch. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the rich world was separated by a big wall in behind, like it would really clearly also mark the edge of the level. So if this is a playable level, a little less square I guess, but if this is the playable level, it would make so much sense that everything is within this world. So all the action would take place within this area.
And also alluding a bit back to the story that there's this private army of robots that are trying to take out the rebels and clear out from this area because they need to bulldoze everything down and
make new fulfillment
centers or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. So like also because like it could be really nice that you have this the Evil Corp every time you enter the scene, they sort of get airdropped in this quad drone, like a gunship that drops them down on top of a building, and then you play from there on. So a lot of thoughts was put into this, like already at this really messy stage. So, but I mean, doodles are the best thing. If you're ever wondering, like, should I do it in 3D or 2D? What is the fastest? And for sure, like, brainstorming is really, really good in 2D, because a lot of this stuff is just like scribbles, like this is lines, and it's just to indicate that this is organic versus the more hard, like, man-made surfaces up there. And that's just a scribble, like, blow up.
Yeah, but then the level design part is really good in 3D, because then you can just place a bunch of big squares and then move them a bit around to create some spaces that you could then bring into Photoshop and fill out these spaces a bit more. Yeah. That you could then bring back in 3D and back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, each stage have a strength, and I think we try to incorporate the best of both worlds, even down to like just like stupid small drawings with logo designs that is just inspiring, because I think we just talked about, couldn't that be cool? What about if there was just eyes? And I think here we wanted the drone army to draft people from the favela, but we ended up with it was like just this Omnicorp trying to sell stuff with a smile, and then they have tagged it out and give it fangs, like blood-sucking bastards. Sorry. So yeah, and a shout out to herself in the graffiti. I think they got changed into a panda. But yeah, this is how it looks for the sketching phase. I think that's...
that wraps up this video, yeah?
Yeah, it wraps up this part, and the next part was taking all this and trying to elaborate, build a 3D model out of it. So that will be the next phase. So see you there.